leeway, lots of leeway. Whenever we make art, life's a riot, you should try it. Whenever we make art, life's a nightmare, see the light where. Whenever we make art, walking on a sunny afternoon, does a killer esplanade. Walking home beneath the rising hill, take a sip of lemonade. John and Freya in a city, whenever we make art, wearing tight jeans in the right scene. Whenever we make art, old and crusty, staying lusty. Whenever we make art, through the portal, we're immortal. Whenever we make art, walking on a sunny afternoon, down in the middle park, walking home beneath the rising moon, to be lovers of the dark. Well, Bonnie and Stoney, I was doing it only just to prove I could make it alone. Benny and Tony told me I was so funny, they suggested that I should postpone until they pick whether I should get mash it together, put the horse in before the cart. There's always a remake whenever we make art. There's a key change, we can be strange whenever we make art. Backing vocals, holy smoke, we make art. Electric guitar, never bitter, whenever we make art. Truth and beauty, Rudy Tooty, whenever we make art.
Thanks very much for pushing it a bit today with some new songs, including that one and this next one, which is going to be a bit different. Every day I write new songs, covering all that I've done wrong, leaving my old ones to wither and die. And so as I lay here on my own, writing a song on my mobile phone, and free as a bluebird up in the sky, there go I, there go I. Some time ago I went to war. Still do not know what I went for. Maybe to look myself in the eye. There were many good men there killed and maimed. Many returned, but not the same. One day the wind screamed, next day the fly. There go I, there go I. And now I'm back on planet Earth, here in this nation of my birth, here in this country, brittle and dry. As I walk past the junkies outside Coles, sunk in their sad and weary souls, cling to my daughter as we walk by. Well, I guess that I had my wilder days. Lucky I made my getaway. I gave away dope, more or less dry. There go I, there go I. So if you see me in my shame, know that we're more or less the same, shuffling under these same autumn skies. There go I, there go I, there go I, there go I. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, now we're going with the a realm of music which is not my wheelhouse, which is sort of pop. A lot could go wrong here. But we have the mighty Jeff Lang on stage with us. Here's Frenchman and Karl. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the literary launch, wine and conversation. Back before I wore a paunch, as a fashion statement. She was fashionably late in her Converse sneakers, and she got pissed off with her date, and we ignored the speakers. She said, I'm writing for Green Weekly. I said, I'm writing for The Age. She said, let's get together sneakily and we'll turn a brand new page. Just like that, but we moved in together to a little rental flat, nights of lace and leather, lino and cobwebs on the ceiling, 2 of us on a writer's wage, such an exhilarating feeling to turn a brand new trunk. It all floundered when I found her sexting with some other new chunk. kids and television. We often wonder in the changes. We lack the wisdom of a sage. I've lost my appetite for strangers, and I've turned a brand new. She's started writing for the Oz now. Writes to maintain Sir Rupert's rage. She's getting married to a boss now. Yeah, she's turned a brand new. They cruise the suburbs in his beamer. Brunch Saturday and go away. His wife says she's a little schemer. Yeah, she's turned a brand new. This is a bit different from most Fred Smith concerts. A lady came up to me earlier and said, "Is there going to be a screen?" I said, "No," and she said, "Oh." But we're playing songs from the new album, Domestic. I played a bunch of them the other night, or 3 or 4 of them, which is sort of half the album is sort of a song about my musings on 21st century Australia. And let me make one thing clear: these songs are not political. Public servants are not entitled to political opinions, nor is the ABC. The only people entitled to political opinions is the Murdoch media, and that's as it should be, because they know best for all of us, not just the rich people. Are we clear on that? Anyway, the second half of the album is what I describe as sort of crap love songs for pasty middle-aged people. Am I selling it? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I know. I mean, I think there's a market for this stuff. I was up at the Lior concert, you know, on the Grand a couple of nights ago, and you know, he's a beautiful man, tall, dark, and handsome, dressed in a tight black sheet t-shirt and those sort of trendy European jeans that go halfway down your calves. So, my wife bought these for me after a Lior concert. He's a good-looking guy with a beautiful voice, singing songs of unloving, you know, undying love and devotion for his woman. Thanks for nothing, Lior. This is setting the bar too high for the rest of us, you know. And then we go home to our wives and they... Anyway, so I figured there's a market for this stuff, you know. You know, I just think, you know, if we write these kind of crap love songs, then two things might happen. Firstly, if you're in a relationship, you'll feel better about the relationship you're in compared to mine. And secondly, if you're not in a relationship, you'll be glad you're not to put up with that shit. So this is what we've got, these love songs. And I guess those of us who've been in long-term relationships know it's not all wine and roses. It's hard yards to be done. You know, there's pressures from work and other things, and then there's all our own pathologies and quirks and insecurities. I mean, we musicians know about this because we are particularly, I mean, we look robust up here on stage, but we are particularly sort of fragile and needy people. We throw ourselves out on the weekends, you know, put our best of our energy out onto the stage, and we get this adoration and applause coming back at us, and as a consequence of those two things, we drive back home after 6 hours, and we get home on a Monday, A, exhausted, and B, self-righteous. Which combination is not necessarily conducive to domestic harmony. Well, I came in at 4. From an interstate tour up around the New South Wales border. I was too tired to think. Found your letter on the sink as I went to fill the kettle with water. All alone. It said I'll wait for the tram at the Merry Creek Bridge and right down to Spencer Street Station.
Fares already paid on a plane to LA. I've lined up to stay with relations all alone. On this cold Melbourne morn, like the one Rochelle was born, she's waiting by the door with a satchel. If we can't be reconciled for the sake of our child, I'll keep this letter short and factual. Oh no. Young up on stage, I first saw your pretty face. Your band was the latest sensation. Lived on cigarettes and speed and the rush to succeed. Now all I see is the deep desperation. Oh, you and me, I was fine, you were free. Now there's two of us you need to be there for. Always knew it would be tough, and now I think I've had enough. Driving home in tears from the airport. Oh no. Plenty of time to think, drain the water from the sink. I can't leave you to even do the dishes. Like my mother used to say, it's often better not to lay down with footballers, priests, or musicians. Oh no.
Choices are made, prices are paid. In this game, so seldom worth the cane. I run my hands through thinning hair as my eyes fall neath the chair where Rochelle has left a little green sand all along. Yes, that's not actually on this new album, Domestic. It's on an album Liz and I did back in 2007 called Love Thongs. So also a collection of love songs from pasty middle-aged white people. At the time, I kind of felt that it wouldn't make sense for a touring musician / combat diplomat to have children. It just felt like it would be irresponsible. But you know, life's what happens to you when you're making other plans, and I came back from Afghanistan in November 2013, and in January 2014 my wife gave birth to a little girl, which sort of surprised me. You know, she'd never done that sort of thing before. I've got a little daughter called Olympia, and she's 5, and she has opinions. In particular, she doesn't like my music. I think she finds it a bit harsh. You know, she says, "Daddy, why do you play all these songs about Afghanistan?" I said, "Well, Olympia, 25,000 young Australians have served in Afghanistan in the last 15, 20 years. It's important we understand their experiences so they don't walk the land as strangers in a way the generation of Vietnam veterans did." And she says, "Oh." And she said, "Well, why don't you write nice songs about birdies and trees and love songs like Lior? For Mummy." And I say, "Well, Olympia, you know, like most Australian males, I'm not renowned for my emotional athleticism." Furthermore, dear, there is the pernicious influence of the ABHU, the Australians Boyfriends and Husbands Union. And if they catch you singing love songs, they will come down on you like a ton of bricks. And rightly so, because if I start writing love songs for my wife, then you'll be expected to do the same, sir. And the red-blooded men of the country will be in the shed, practicing scales and writing poetry when they should be mowing the lawn. All of which is to say, Olympia, if you're going to play love songs in this country, you've got to be a little bit oblique. I don't like writing political commentary in Soviet Russia or 21st century Australia. Not that I know. If you've got someone who's special in your life, maybe your old pet cockatoo might even be your wife. You know what it's like, you'll understand that I got a very special girl and her name's Marianne. 'Cause you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. My girl Marianne, walking down the street, she got a smile to make the day of everyone she meets. She's got lots of friends, they all think she's great. Dogs and children like her too. Dogs and kids have taste. 'Cause you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. Well, she's got long brown curly hair and slightly pigeon toes. She got a song upon her lips everywhere she goes. I like listening, although she is tone deaf. And I like the way she walks along, the right foot after left. Because you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. Well, she goes shopping at Salvation Army stores, gets better stuff than you would find in a shopping mall. Picture frames and cups and plates and records of jazz and folk. 22 ashtrays in the house, and we don't even smoke. 'Cause you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. Now lately I've been feeling great, something must be wrong. I've been getting home early and staying straight and writing boring songs. What's an artist's life if there is no angst? Did you enjoy your dinner, dear? It was lovely, thanks. 'Cause you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. Well, me, I sing these wholesome songs up on stage at night. Maybe one day I'll be a hit with the Christian right. But I don't make much dough in a world of greed. So long as I got my Marianne, I got all I need. 'Cause you know what it's like, you know what it's like. You may not know my Marianne, but you know what it's like. You know what it's like. That was the best I could do for my dear wife, Mary Ann. She deserves better. size of a whale, and the last 5 years have been tricky for her. After I came back from Afghanistan and my daughter was born, her mother came down with Alzheimer's. It was a very tough couple of years there, at the end of which her mother sort of started ranting and was not possible for her father to look after her at home, so we put her into a home for the last 2 months of her life, which for a old Greek lady is the greatest indignity. But it was interesting to go to that home, visit it. I found that a lot of people working in that home were first-generation migrants, many from Africa, and many of them sustained in that work, I think, by their Christian faith. And they're the good type of Christians, as opposed to from back when Christians, before they started collaborating with the Lions. I'm not political at all. And then she perished in late 2015, just as I was finishing my book. And then around that time, her father came down with cancer, bowel cancer. He was an old Greek guy, born in 1930. He spent his teenage years dodging Nazis in occupied Italy. In the last 2 years of his life, watching women's tennis in my living room. He eventually moved in and remained very independent, moving between his place and ours. He used to say, I've been driving for 65 years and I've never had an accident. I mean, the first part of that proposition was more accurate than the second, but neither was a source of comfort. Like I'd be working there of an evening, he'd come back from his place in his shitty Hyundai vehicle and come into the driveway, and you hear a crunch as he hit the wheelie bin or ran over a watering can or a pot plant or something, and then he'd shuffle on and tap on the door, and I'd let him in, and he lived with us. And eventually, in September this year, I was getting ready to go out and tour one evening when he died in the living room, and so it's been a tough period for my wife, who has done a lot of what I would call hard work. I think we all got to do it at some point, but it's good to be able to keep them at home. Not easy. If your father-in-law shows up at your door in a permanent state of undress, he says he's happy to stay for the rest of his days, could it be that you're less than impressed? You see, he had a fine mind, but it's been in decline by degrees, like the slow setting sun. And now it is dusk, and he's only got us, and there's hard work to be done. In youth we all press to rise above the rest, in whatever the field or profession. We stress and we strain, no pain, no gain, with a focus not far from obsession. Then something goes snap, a bone or a strap, or our wings get burnt by the sun. And we fumble around and fall to the ground with some hard work to be done. Now my girl Marianne cannot do the can-can, nor perform a piano recital. She could not hit a note. She would not win a vote if she entered Australian Idol. Her strong suit is love, and when push comes to shove, there's no need for a hired gun. I'm telling you, pal, she's my go-to gal when there's hard work to be done. If you find yourself alone in some old folks' home, one stop from the mortuary station, it might be best not to curse the night shift nurse with your views on the latest migrations. Seems she came here late from some African state, for centuries shadowly run. You may well infer that it's just you and her, and some harsh work to be done. So yeah, it has been a tricky 5 years for my wife and for me to some extent, but we've been sustained and nourished emotionally in this by my daughter, her beauty and ebullience and general indifference to our suffering. Which is kind of as it should be, isn't it? But no, it's been a wonderful 5 years. I didn't expect to have a child at the age of 44. But ever since she was born, I've been happy for no particular reason. But there are conflicting feelings, in these trying times. You feel there's an enormous love and a desire to protect the child in a world that just keeps getting stupider with every federal election. Not that I've known, I'm not political. Anyway, I wrote this song when she's born. It's called Beautiful Girl. We've got a new version of it, a live version on the album Domestic. Beautiful girl, new to this world. Your mama's good looking, she's been cooking you since May or June. And now you've come to steal my heart just like the dish ran away with the spoon. Beautiful girl, soft like a pearl, laying there happy in your nappy like a lump of dough. Your mama's gonna feed you and you need to, you just let us know. Beautiful girl, princes and earls, I know they're gonna come court. I'll build a fort to keep their fingers off you. But like your granddaddy knew, you're gonna do just what you're gonna do. Well, it's as fickle as fashion. There'll be bright lights flashing as you crash into your darkest night. This old world's gone blind, but if you know your own mind, I know you're gonna be alright. Beautiful girl, it's a dangerous world, and it's suffering, it's huffing and puffing, and it's gonna blow. But with a heart like Magellan, there's no telling where you just might go. And your dad is gonna be here if you need him, just say so. I said your dad is gonna be here if you need him, just say so. All right, 2, 3, 4. I was staying up late with Mary Ann. We were locked into a debate trying to understand how our matrimonials had come to be. She said, honey, the truth will set you free. You walked into that cafe without a care. A yellow feather and flower in your hair. It must have been in September of '93. Love, youth, truth and nirvana would set us free. There were mattresses on the living room floor. There were actresses trying to sweep the floor. On the kitchen table was a fat TV. Stayed up watching cable till 3:15. It was understood that these looked like a halcyon days until the neighborhood went their separate ways. I got married late to Mary Ann. It was like a 16-year-long date, 'cause working wedding bands had made me a little nervous of matrimony. She said love and service will set you free. Now I'm staying up late with Mary Ann, pointing out spelling mistakes in her corporate plan. She says life's like the Soviet Union in the '70s. Always speaking your truth, love won't set you free. I said through these middle ages I will comfort thee. She said, honey, go make me a cup of tea. Oh, thanks very much. Wonderful solo from Jeff Lang. How much longer? It was kind of the end of the set. I think we got. How long we got? 10 minutes? Okay, we'll do a couple more. You know, these are difficult times politically, you know, and my response is to go back to Afghanistan. I'm going back there next year to this year to work on a humanitarian program there. Still tough times there. I mean, the Taliban controlling more territory than they ever did. They probably still won't win, but they won't lose either, and so they just make things a lot harder for people. And as a consequence, you know, massive humanitarian problems, 10 million people food insecure, and about 1 million displaced. But still people would prefer the government with all its limitations than the Taliban. Because they remember the tough years when the Taliban ran the country, drought, starvation, women executed in football stadiums for minor offences. And of course no one could speak their truth, which makes us value freedom of expression, I think. Anyway, as a consequence, there were 3.1 million people outside the borders of Afghanistan in 2001. I'm going to play a song now which I wrote from the point of view of one of those refugees. It's called The Trembling Sky.
For my own land I am finding, I will keep these letters rhyming. They can decode what is written in prose. So they tried me in my absence when I heard about my sentence. I had to smile. Here in exile, oh, you know from your excursions, if the truth has many versions, then what is a lie? To the trembling sky. As our nation fought heroes, we were fairly with the widow, all of our peers, artists and queers. In thy hall, we were still kissing, while our friends were missing, sped in the eye. Trembling taken for correction, they were lost about connection. Just play the game, slander my name. Didn't know us there for a reason. Have you tried treason? Never asked why. On the trembling sky. As our countrymen all hardened, Esmond found me in my garden, gave me the cue. It's time to slip through. So I hope you understand there was no time to touch your hand when I had to fly from the trembling sky. Never stay
Liz Frenchman.
Fred Smith.
Liz will be playing later this afternoon. Whereabouts, Liz?
Here.
What time?
Just after the Brother Brothers band.
4:30. And Karl. Penuzzo, a round of applause for Karl.
If you play at Magic too, so you get to see Karl as well.
Jeff Lang here had never heard that song before, and before the song started, I shout out the key C. In fact, it's in D. Round of applause for Jeff Lang. Anyway, thanks very much. That's a song about sort of freedom of speech and all those things that matter and all the reasons we come here to Woodford to make our point known. And in that regard, we're lucky to have in the midst some fantabulous journalists all the way from Canberra, like Karen Middleton at the back, putting truth around in the country. In a country dominated by fascist media. Anyway, enough of that serious political stuff. It's been a wonderful journey this time. I've sort of got to play a fair bit of my material over the various shows, which as you may notice is pretty varied stuff. I remember the first time I came to Woodford was 1998, and we played here when it was the Duck. And at the time, I was sort of, rather than these sort of more narrative ballads, I tended to focus on drinking songs. That was my specialty, drinking songs. So we'll finish with one of those. Just for old time's sake. It's called The Bonnie Boat. It's a very complicated song. The chorus goes for men: sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat. Try that, gentlemen. Sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat. And to the women it goes: sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat. Sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat. Exquisite. No, they never have naught to say. Ask them for a smoke or a joke, and they're bound to say, who the fuck are you? And they'll go on their merry way singing, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bloody boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat. A dignified Englishman, 3 wee willy Welshmen, and 14 pissed Irishmen went on an expedition of sedition against the bloody government, came home in time for tea time, made a bleed iron from the bloody Guinness tent, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat. Sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat. Thank you. Big thanks to Stuart on sound here. Sounded great, mate. Thank you. I've got a bunch of CDs in the corner over there, including my new one, Domestic. Possibly my old one, Love Songs, which Liv and I did. One more round of applause for Lang and Karl. All right, everyone on your feet. Get some swaying going here. Well, two Scottish bastards who were leaving from the Glen today, whistling a rendition to the old road to Mandalay. So it's so bloody loosely and completely pissed away. They didn't even notice when the bagpipes began to play. Bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat, sail the bonnie boat, the bonnie boat, the bloody bonnie boat.
Here, eh? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Huh? No, I didn't. Yeah. She's with she's with a trio. Oh, right, well,